Be able to play with your friends. Yeah.
Will you be able to play with your friends?
You fucking lying piece of wank. Like, seriously, why? Why the fucking lying?
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god, stop your fucking lying.
Hi guys and welcome back up north. I was contemplating whether to do a video like this, and as you can see I decided I was going to. Even though it is late, because along with many more gamers who bought No Man's Sky, based on what Sean Murray had said in countless interviews, it appears we were fucking arse raped with his giant cock of lies. And there's recently been a lot of news about refunds for No Man's Sky, so I thought we would delve a little into that as well. A mere day before the launch, he tweets this: "To be super clear, No Man's Sky is not a multiplayer game. Please don't go in looking for that experience." Are you fucking kidding me? I could have sworn it was only recently you said it was multiplayer, and then you go and say that a day before release. At least people who hadn't already pre-ordered it could have been saved from the fabricated game you told us No Man's Sky was going to be, but tons of people had already given away the hard-earned cash, so it was too late. Yeah, I was one of those fucking people. But let's look at it from the logical side as well. Untouched, you could easily get a refund, but for those who wanted to see if the game was going to be everything it said it was going to be, despite the lack of multiplayer, that's getting into a different story. Because in this case, I'm specifically talking about the PC platform Steam. Refunds are given if the playtime is less than 2 hours and if you request a refund before 14 days. The 14 days is clearly enough time, but 2 hours gameplay really isn't a lot to play with. To say this game is so large in the grand scheme of things, 2 hours, it's not really going to let you see the most fantastical mechanics and graphical marvels there was supposed to be in the game. Well, to be honest, it is as there is absolutely fuck all great this game has to offer, apart from a bajillion procedurally generated planets, which by all accounts was created through a stolen algorithm, but we'll get into that later on. But on another note, I have to completely agree with the ex-Sony director Shahid on his statement on Twitter. If you're getting a refund after playing a game for 50 hours, you're a thief. 50 hours is taking the absolute piss. Nobody needs that amount of game time to decide if you think it's shit or not. And clearly saw that there's been a surge of people getting their money back when they're slightly out of Steam's refund policy, and just decided to jump on the bandwagon. Fuck off, mate. Taking piss, simple as. So let's talk a little more about Sean Murray's gameplay fabrications. Let's do it in a fun way and we'll make it a countdown list. Okay, number 5, space. Absolutely bullshit. This gameplay made space seem busy and exciting, which it absolutely is not. I, along with many other people, have never encountered a war between factions, let alone that many ships in one place. In the real No Man's Sky game we bought, space is filled with annoying as fuck asteroids that just get in way, a space station or two and a couple of ships that are usually in pairs, making scripted runs from planets to space stations in a never-ending cycle. I don't even think they'll land on the planet, they'll probably just loop it and fuck off back into space. Number 4, interactive giant beasts. Again, bullshit. I haven't encountered massive beasts on any planet I've visited, and I have visited a fair few. The most intimidating beast I've ever met was some sort of hybrid dog giraffe as tall as my chest that looked like it had been abused, and in this footage you'll see this awesome giant beast interacting with its surroundings, attempting to scare some birds from its territory or whatever, and then fuck up another giant beast. Events like that never happen. The most interaction I've had with any animal in No Man's Sky is chasing it around to sort of shove some carbon down its throat for it then to just shit out some different element and carry on plodding along, shitting out more useless elements I already have a stack of in my inventory. Number 3. Space, combat and flight. Holy shit, more lies in gameplay footage, I can't believe it. Oh wait, yes I can, because it's No Man's Sky. Well, this one is completely an utter load of shite. Wow, look at those spaceships flying and dodging to avoid your super awesome lasers of death, flying around the planet like something out of a James Bond car chase scene but in space. It never fucking happens. Spaceships never even get close to the fucking ground. You can only just about see them on the edge of planets' atmospheres, and then even if you wanted to start shit with them, by the time you've gone through that animation to get in your spaceship, and then the massive delay when you actually leave the ground, they're fucking long gone. I have to admit, I haven't personally gone into space dogfights as it's just too much fucking effort, but I think I could safely presume it's fuck all how this footage makes it out to be. But let's say you're also not bothered about the space fights and just want to weave and dodge the terrain below you, I can safely say that that is definitely not fucking happening. The game doesn't let you go anywhere near the planet's surface. You're always put on a safe level, and if you manage to force yourself lower than you're supposed to go, it automatically puts you back on the safe flight path it wants you to be on. Plus, manoeuvring is so fucking sluggish and laggy that even if you could, you'd end up crashing into a giant rock or something. Number 2, inventory management and crafting.
And your ship, and all 3 of those have an inventory. I can just show you that actually.
Sure, yeah, let's have a look.
So there's your weapon, your suit, and your ship, and each of those has a number of slots. So those are inventory slots, and different suits, weapons, and ships have different layouts of different different inventories, and that's important, how they're laid out and also how many slots you have available to you.
Because that's for a couple reasons, right? Because first of all, if you put different things, in adjacency with one another, you get bonuses.
Right.
So that's one element of it. But the other is that those slots are shared. They can either store elements, crafting materials, or they can be slots for you to put in technology upgrades.
Right.
So you're kind of playing this game of, do I want my suit to be very functional, have lots of different kinds of upgrades on it, or do I want to be able to carry a lot, or a mix of the two? You have to play that game kind of.
Well, I can safely say that the inventory management in this game is absolutely fucking appalling. It's like playing a mini-game of Tetris to try and make things fit. The inventory space on you and your ship is tiny as hell, and if you want to upgrade parts of your suit and your ship, it takes up valuable slot space, so you then need to spend a ridiculous amount of money to upgrade the space you have. And this really links in with the crafting, and as many of the things you can craft require huge amounts of resources, and due to the lack of your inventory space, it is very difficult to craft everything you want. It involves too much fuck-arsing about having to sell the things you've collected, or simply just discard it to make that space. Now, into the pile of shit crafting that Sean said was supposed to be similar to Minecraft's method of picking things up and trying to sort of meld them to see if it makes something new. Crafting is not at all like that. It's all there is in a little shitty menu telling you what you can craft and what elements are already in the game are needed. Just a standard generic crafting system which other less popular games do a much better job of. Number 1, multiplayer.
Be able to play with your friends. Yeah.
Clearly this is going to be the number one, as a lot of the slander towards Hello Games has been based on the statements that Sean said about multiplayer. When the trailers came out after the initial ones at E3 2014, we got this idea that this game was going to be a marvellous, beautiful adventure, but we weren't sure whether multiplayer would be part of it, so we waited for what Sean would say, hoping that this would be a feature. And then the interview came, where all the world saw him answer that question. And he said yes. He said yes! The happiness must have washed over so many enthusiastic people. But soon did realise it was a huge fucking lie. To increase No Man's Sky hype and to help line the pockets of Hello Games, it doesn't matter whether it was an indie company or not, and they didn't have a large amount of money. If they couldn't afford to put real multiplayer in place, and why say it would have it in? It doesn't matter if in the interview you were nervous about the audience's reaction, because deep down you knew that if you said yes and they found out that multiplayer, a big aspect in relation to gaming now, in your game was a lie, then you would be known as the guy at that studio that created that game, which is based on lies, and that is what Sean Murray has now become. So the game came out, people were furious and angry at the fact that it had been lied to by Sean countless of times, and soon enough more dirt was being told about Sean Murray. This article was made before the release of No Man's Sky, but if you were like me, in which you didn't necessarily obsess about all of No Man's Sky information, it may have only appeared on your radar after the game came out. So the article says how Sean had mentioned that he was struggling with procedural planet generation until he found an equation published by a Belgian plant geneticist, Johan Gielis, called Super Formula. It's not exactly written in stone, but appears that Hello Games have used this super formula for their procedural planet generation, which is actually owned by a Dutch company called Jennycat, and that they do not have a license to use it. But they haven't actually seen the source for No Man's Sky, so there isn't a definitive proof it's been used. The thing is, they tried to contact Hello Games, but they were ignored and no correspondence was received, so that could clearly indicate sort of some fishy business. I mean, Sean has clearly stated he was struggling till he found this equation, and if you put two and two together, an indie game developer with little money struggling to sort something crucial to his game idea out, and then finding this equation which will help him get over his hurdle, he could very possibly have used it instead of creating something from scratch. As I've said previously, indie developer, little to no money, but that is my opinion. I hope you enjoyed this video today. It was something I wanted to get off my chest, and using my gameplay experience of No Man's Sky and trying to find some sort of factual evidence rather than hearsay, I think this video's turned out rather well. Please let me know your thoughts on the topic, and definitely tell me if something isn't right, as I can easily correct it in another video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Sayonara.
Be able to play with your friends. Yeah.